welcome back to Rust Twitter Garage and part 3 of what was supposed to be a one-part video series, not a series. It wasn't supposed to be a series. So, remember when I said my lift cylinder blew up, and I hope that wasn't a precursor of things to come? Well, you still hear the vacuum pump running in the background, which is turning into the background noise of my life. So anyway, where we left off, I let it pump overnight. Didn't help. So, started digging in, trying to do all the research I can find. Everything, or I should say, very few instances did I find this documented, but when I did, it sounds like it's the shaft seal on the compressor. It'll work under pressure, but will leak under vacuum. And the guy, I saw his videos, is very knowledgeable. I am not an HVAC guy, so if you guys are out there, hey, throw me a bone, give me a hand here. Well, he made it sound like there were a couple ways to try to get past this. And it does happen on brand new compressors. First thing is put high pressure in the system and then rotate the compressor by hand and see if the seal will probably, like lip seal, maybe flip the other way or something and reseal. My low pressure gauge only goes up to 120 pounds. So I cranked it up to around 115 or so, and I went under and rolled the compressor over by hand. And I don't know, to my eye it looks a little better, but it's not fixed. The other thing he did was he actually charged the system and fired it up, and I guess with the high pressure of the compressor running, it took care of the problem. So that's pretty much my only option now. But I will say it's pretty frustrating. If this compressor's got a bad shaft seal, that means I got to go for another refund. They're probably going to look at me sideways like I'm full of it. The first one, they got drop kicked and the case was broken, so I couldn't use it. So this one may have a shaft seal leak. I followed the directions exactly. And that's another thing guy brought up, which was a good reminder and some information as well. Those instructions that came with the compressor, I already packed them up with the other one, but I read them. The ones that said, you know, there's only 3 ounces of oil in there, add the full amount into the compressor. You only want to do that after you have a brand new system like this is, luckily, because you said what happens is if you have a compressor failure and you lose refrigerant, the oil will basically pool in the evaporator. So if you were to get a new compressor and it's only got 3 ounces in it, you think it needs 8, and you dump another 5 ounces in it, you're way over oiling the system because all the oil is in the evaporator. And I assume once the system is fully charged, the Freon will pick up that oil and bring it back to the system. So now that I put 8 ounces in the system, if this compressor is no good and I get another one with 3 ounces in it, as far as I know, that's all that's going to stay in it. I'm not going to add any more. But first I have to see if this compressor is actually good or bad. So now, my only option, because I can't find it with bubbles, although, you know, I sprayed everything, but it holds under pressure, so I can't find it with soap and water. I bought some dye. So I'm going to end up putting this in the system, some of it. You know, I only need like an ounce or something. How much is in here? 1 ounce. All right, so maybe this whole thing's going in there. And I got some 134. So now the plan is to put some dye in the system while it's under vacuum with the 134. Put maybe 1 can in it only. Charge it enough so that the compressor will turn on, run the system, and then I have a little UV pen in the glasses or whatever and try to find the leak, if it leaks. I'm hoping it'll recover itself after it gets some pressure in the system. If not, we're going to have to get yet another compressor, unless one of these seals is leaking, one of the O-rings, and I just couldn't find it with the soap and water. Oh, and that's one other thing too. I looked at the last video I posted, and I showed how I made the hose, and I was putting the fitting into the condenser without an O-ring on it. Before everybody yells and screams that that's where the leak is, I have plenty of O-rings. I just mocked it up with no O-ring. I don't know why, sometimes I just do that. And then after the hose is made, I'll go back, put a new O-ring on, oil it up, and put it together. If there was no O-ring on there, I am sure we would have had plenty of bubbles and it would have never held pressure. So, and this morning, after I saw that it was still leaking, I got up early anyway, and I went to an indoor swap meet to get a break from this, and I found a pair of unknown taillights, sort of like 50 Pontiac, but I don't think they are. They could be something aftermarket, I don't know. The actual lenses say Glow Bright on them, so I don't think they're real GM lights, but they're dirty enough to be, and I think they might look good on the back of the 56 Chevy pickup, the fenders, put them on the back. So I got those. I bought a Pontiac radio delete just because it looks cool. I don't have any 50s Pontiacs. That's something I just don't have. I got Buicks and Oldsmobiles and Chevys, but I just don't have any Pontiacs, even though I love Pontiacs. And he had all kind of bins full of 50s Pontiac parts. Man, if I had had one, I would have bought everything he had. And I bought this too, just because it's cool. I think these went on the sides of the car, like back on the quarter panels. Things like mint. Too nice not to have it, even if it just sits on the shelf covered with dust like everything else I have. Oh, and one last thing to throw a wrench in the works. It's so cold, obviously, to get the refrigerant in and get some dye in, I got to get the compressor to turn on and suck it into the system. I can't even get the evaporator to send out the compressor on signal because it's too cold. I've got the thermostat set all the way as cold as it'll go, and it's not going to ask for air conditioning. It's freaking cold. So I have a tube off my heater pumping heat into the cab right now, trying to warm it up enough that at least if I start the truck, I can turn on the AC and it'll turn on the compressor if I jump the safety switch. So it's been a comedy of errors, that's all I can say. Something tells me that if this doesn't work, we're going to revisit it when the weather gets warmer, because it's just not easy to troubleshoot air conditioning when it's already freezing out. All right, it's been pumping down now again for, I'm not sure how much, at least a half hour. It always pumps right down, no problem. It's just under vacuum, it just starts leaking up. So, plan here is to shut off the vacuum pump. We'll first isolate the system. Shut off the vacuum pump. I think the amount is 3 to 5 ounces of dye. And again, look up your own stuff. I am not an AC guy. This is not a how-to. This is more documentation of, I don't know what you want to call this, probably a fiasco. But regardless, the plan is put some dye in it. Obviously, I got to start the truck. I have enough heat in the cab now. I checked it. The AC will turn on, so hopefully it'll stay on and not cool down real fast. But I'm going to start the truck, turn on the air, shut off the vacuum pump, put a little bit of dye in the yellow hose, hook up 1 can of refrigerant, try to charge it with 1 can and see if my compressor turns on. And hopefully the compressor doesn't blow up. I'm a little nervous now because the YouTube video I watched, said put the oil in the high side line, but everything else I see says, you're always supposed to put stuff in the low side line. So is my compressor going to slug and blow up? I don't know. We're going to find out. So, could be a big old mess. All right, here goes nothing. Shut that vacuum pump off. I know you can't see the gauges, but like I said, this is no how-to video. I'm just going to watch them so I can at least get an idea when the refrigerant's going in that my pressure start going up, and then I got to watch to see if the compressor turns on, and then watch my feet in case it blows up. So first I'm going to start the truck. I hope I have enough gas in it to do this. Let's see. So, well, that did pretty good. See, I'm no expert. I should have closed those valves off first. It is still under vacuum. I put little graduations on my bottle here. Oh, and now I need a knife to cut this open. Screwdriver. So I'm just gonna this stuff is really thick right now. I don't know if that's normal or not. Hold on there, cowboy. That's a little bit much. Come on. Now I gotta get the air out of it. That may be all we put in there. Come on. Get in the hose. Ah, you're gonna make a mess. So let some air in so it'll go down. I don't know if that's enough, guys. But we're gonna find out. Alright, you're tight. You're closed. You're closed. I'm gonna open this up. Purge this. Alright, I gotta try to purge this a little bit. And now it has dye in it, so I don't want that in my face. For sure. Should be open. You don't. Boy, this is just a comedy of errors here. Wide open. Why is the refrigerant coming out? The sun going in. Well, those side gauges just starting to come up a little bit. This Harbor Freight tap from my can is leaking. I'm at about 25 pounds. Still not enough to get the compressor kicked. compressor is on. Hit the safety switch, pressure went down, compressor turned off, now pressure's going back up. But at least the system turned on, so now I should be able to use the UV light and see if I see any leaks. Alright, so I've got one can of refrigerant in there, and I'm going to try to see if I have any leaks. The problem is it's so cold that the AC request inside keeps turning off, even with heat going into the cab. But I'm hoping I ran it long enough to at least look at the shaft seal. And if I see anything, I'll get you on camera with it. Alright, well, there are no leaks. Nothing I can see. I hit everything with the pen, all the fittings. I don't see any green anywhere, and I think it must have gone through the system. I know I'm undercharged right now because I only have one can of refrigerant in it, but just putting my face in front of the evaporator core, when the AC request goes off, it warms up and you can feel the temperature of the air coming through a little bit warmer. Then the AC request kicks on and it gets freaking cold. So it is working, but I gotta add more refrigerant. Because right now my high side's only around 75. Problem is, I don't know enough about AC to know how much to use. I'm thinking maybe add like a half a can and see what the pressures are. I'm not going to add the whole can. I'm just going to try to bring the pressure up a little bit, because when the pressure kicks on, we're going down like 5 pounds. Alright, that just purged the air out of the yellow line. Get my AC request to turn back on. I don't want to put any more in until I get the compressor to turn on. That's the problem with these custom systems, you just don't know how much refrigerant to put in. My compressor keeps turning off because it's too cold in there. I'm still pulling down around with it running. Well, I'm getting down still pretty low. 10 pounds on the low side, still going down. 5, way too low. I'm like 5 pounds on the low side, and I think I was maybe 110, 120 on the high side. This thing's kicked. All right, well, I know the dye went through the system because I saw it inside my ports when I took my caps off. Engine's been running for quite a while, and our temperatures are good, staying right around where they should be, probably like 195 or something. Let me see if I can do this. I don't know if this will be accurate or not. It's so cold right now. So we're just at, what? I missed it. Let's see if this temperature, I can feel the temperature. There he goes. See the temperature drop? Getting down close to 40-degree vent temps there. Nice. Less than 40 degrees, and then the AC turns off. Well, I think I'm good. I just turned the lights off in the garage and went under there with the black light again, the UV light. So it's pitch black dark. There's not a sign of dye anywhere. And like I said, you can see it inside my ports, so I know it got sucked into the system. I don't see any leaks. And the system definitely works. I'm probably still undercharged just because of how low the low pressure side's going when the compressor kicks on. I think it's supposed to be around 30, 35 maybe, but it's going down around 10 or 15, I think it was. But at least if this holds a charge, then at least I know it's good. And when the weather warms up, we can hook back up, look at the pressures again, and add a little more refrigerant. And again, it's a custom system. I have no idea how much it holds. I don't know if anybody could tell me how much it holds, other than just sticking the thermometer in the vent and looking for vent temps. Right now it's hitting below 40, that's beautiful. Is it going to do that when the weather is 90 degrees out? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out when the weather gets warmer. But at least there are no leaks that I can find, which means I can check it off the list, at least I think so, and put my grill back in and try to finish this thing up. And the other thing I didn't even think of is my controls work. Everything works just like I thought it would. So that's with the PCM controlling the air conditioning. So that's I think I'll just do that in another video. So I think I'll end this one here, which is great. Finally. So it took three tries or 3 episodes to get the air conditioning working, even though I guess you could say maybe I didn't have a problem. I don't know. Maybe it's these gauges. Maybe it's just these cheap Harbor Freight gauges are showing a leak when there isn't. Or, like I saw that guy say, you can have a lip seal on a shaft seal leak in vacuum, but not leak under pressure. And this is one way he got around it, and he's a pro, and I'm no pro. So I think it worked for me. There is no sign of any dye around the shaft seal. So, I don't know, I'll call it good. Plus the fact the engine ran for at least 10, 15 minutes just sitting here idling, and temperatures are great. So that's another good thing. And I still haven't even put my overflow bottle on yet. I was putting everything away, and I realized there is one more part of the AC that I forgot, and that is the condensation drain. The evaporator kit gives you this length of tubing and a T, and that's it. So basically there are 2 drains on the back of this evaporator. You got to tee them together and get the water out of the cab. So as usual, just, because I got to do things different, I'm going to do things a little different. All right, so drilling the hole for the condensation drain. All right, I'll have to get the Christmas tree bit to open it up, because what I'm going to do is I got this custom 90-degree spark plug boot right here that I'm going to fit through the floor. So that'll seal it up with the rubber and give me a drain. And then on the other side, I can put a little piece of tubing or something if I want to get it away from the inner fender well. But that's going to push right through the floor. All right, hole is there. I think it's big enough. Let's see. I think I'll trim some of the ribs off the spark plug boot, and then we'll go at it again. All right, let's try again. A little lube on it. These spark plug boots work great for vacuum elbows as well. For the guys with Gen 2 LT1s, that elbow on the intake manifold that always goes bad, this is the fix. Look at that. Right in there. That's nice. So, seals the firewall, and it works. And the drain, can't even see it, it's down there behind the heater hoses, behind the AC hoses rather. Nice little spot. You can't even see it. It's down there. There it is. So that'll just drain down onto the ground. You could put a hose off of that, or a little metal line, or whatever. It'll just dribble down out of the way. Won't bother anything. That is it for the AC. One other thing I wanted to mention, because I didn't show it in the video, I talked about it, but I never really showed anything, was the O-rings on the fittings. And like I said, that one shot there, I was mocking up my fitting like this into my condenser with no O-ring. Well, you have to have an O-ring on all your fittings. And they are different diameters. 6, 8, 10, 12, all have different diameters. And let's see if I can get one out here. This is a number 8 fitting. So you just take your O-ring and slide it over the end like that. And then before you assemble it, just drip some of your oil, whatever oil is used on your compressor. This one uses PAG 150. So I just drip a little oil on the O-ring and just get some lube on it. It takes away the chances of cutting it or scratching it or doing anything to it while you install it. And look, I'm just some goober in a garage, and I got all my O-rings to seal first shot. So it must work. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, all right, I guess then I will end part 3 here. I will do one more video on this where I will go over all the controls, how to wire this thing in if you're using the PCM, and how to wire it if it's just basic as basic can be with just a carburetor and you just want it to work, but with the safety switches. You got to have the safety switch. So, yes, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for following along. And thank you so much for subscribing. See ya.